Hi guys, we are going to be making this cute ID holder zipper bag by Parker on the Porch. It's super cute, and I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the supplies we're going to be using. We're going to be using a 9-inch zipper. We need to use, this is 12 gauge clear vinyl that I'm using, and some coordinating fabrics. You could make this all with one color fabric. It's super cute. I've seen it from the other testers and it looks really cute. Or you can use different fabrics like I did. And we're going to be using our 5x7 hoop and tearaway. So I will meet you at the machine and I will show you how we make this. Okay, I have my 5x7 hoop with one sheet of tearaway on my machine. I have the first file loaded, which is the front file. It says front. I think the other one's going to say base, but this one's the front. It looks like this. We are going to go ahead and run the first step right here, which is the placement step, directly onto your stabilizer. I'm going to go ahead and run that. I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, this is what your placement stitches look like. Your next step's going to be to put your 12 gauge clear vinyl right here. So this is going to be like your see-through area where your ID or whatever you're putting in there can go. So you just want a big enough piece to go around that whole entire placement line. We'll trim after it's down, but so go ahead and put a piece of your 12 gauge vinyl right here. If you go lower than 12 gauge, which means like a lower number, then it ends up being too thin and it will rip out of your bag. So at least 12-inch gauge. If you go higher, it's fine. It won't rip out of your bag. But then remember, the higher you go, the thicker it is, which means it might be a little harder to turn through your bag when you turn your bag. So 12 gauge is perfect. Don't go lower than that though, else it will just tear out of your bag. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and you can tape this or you can hold it. It's just going to go ahead and tack it down along that exact same line. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I will come back and show you. Okay, this is what it looks like. It's tacked down. I'm just going to use some applique scissors and I'm just going to cut a little closer. Not so close that it will pull out of your stitches, but just close enough that you don't have this excess thickness bulking your bag down. So I'm just going to cut all around there and then I'll come back and show you closer. Now we're going to go ahead and do the next step, which is a placement stitch. It's going to go directly down here and show us how big and where to place our fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and run that, step 3, and I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Okay guys, it did the placement stitch right here for your fabric. So this square is the size of fabric you're going to need. This is going to be the flip style. If you've made any of the other bags, the top set bags, you flip them. So you're basically going to have a piece of fabric that goes along this line, this placement line like this, and then it's going to tack it down, and then you're going to flip it, and then it's going to tack the rest down. So you need fabric that's big enough to go across here. I'll show you. Take a ruler. This is how you measure for your fabric. Take a ruler, you're going to measure across here these lines, but you're going to want a little bit extra, so maybe like 2 inches. And then you're going to make sure that you're long enough to go on this placement line as well, so a little bigger than 4 inches. So I just kind of put my fabric there and cut it. I'm not real precise on it. Now the other thing you're going to want to know on this step is if you have directional fabric, you're going to want to place it this way. So here's the top. This is going to be the top of your bag. So if you're looking at it like this, it's going to be like that. So you're going to want like this. You're going to want your hearts going the right direction. So that's what I'm showing you here. So we're going to do the underneath liner piece first. So I'm going to flip. This is the top of our hoop. We're going to flip it upside down. And then here's our line right here still. And remember, this is the flipper style as well. So I'm ultimately going to want my fabric looking like this. The hearts are going the right way and it's big enough to go over my lines. So you're going to place it like this over here. I line it up along this line right here, and then I just scoot it a little bit. And just make sure you have a big enough piece that it's going to go ahead and still cover the lines over here. So this is why I would cut a little bit extra on your fabric so you're not missing these stitch lines. Okay, so you don't have to be so precise. Then I'm going to take some tape. We're on the underneath of our hoop, so we need to be taping it. And this is the right side of the fabric right here is facing down. You see that right side of the fabric facing down. Make sure you have your right direction. Just tape it, and if you're going to be taking it off in a second, so just make sure you have it taped enough that it's going to stay. Then flip your hoop back over. Now we're going to take our next piece of fabric. So I measured this amount, and then I did 4 of them because I'm going to do both sides right here, the same fabric. So I just cut 4 identical pieces. If you want different ones, then just do this one right here, but I did all 4. So there we go. It's big enough to go over that. Now this time we're going to place it like this right here, and it's going to flip back the other way. Okay. So I'm just making sure that it's catching. You can hold this since you're going to be on your machine, or you can tape it. So go ahead and tape it if you want. Now the next step is just going to stitch that exact same line right here, and it's going to tack the top fabric with the bottom fabric to your stabilizer. So I'll meet you at our machine and I will show you what we're doing. I'm back on my hoop. So when I put stuff back on my hoop, if there's stuff underneath my hoop, I always look to make sure that it didn't get caught as I was putting it on and everything's still fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and stitch the next step, and I will come back and show you what it looks like. Step 4. Okay guys, you can see the tack down line right here. It tacked it down right here, and then on the back it tacked it down right there. So now you're gonna flip your hoop over. So I'm on the back of my hoop. I take the tape off. I already took the tape off, but then you're gonna fold it down like this, and you're gonna take the same tape you had or new tape, whatever you're using, and you're gonna tape it down this way now, like that. Okay? And then you're going to flip it over, and you do the exact same thing up here. You're going to take your tape off, you're going to flip it down. Now you want to make sure you're getting past these placement lines. If your fabric does not go past these placement lines, then you need to take your seam ripper and you need to take out this, and you need to get a bigger piece of fabric because you have to make them go past this. Okay, so go ahead and get it kind of flat. Go ahead and tape it. Okay. I will meet you at the machine and I will show you what it's going to do next. Okay, I'm back at my machine. I checked under my hoop to make sure my fabric's still good there. We are good to go. I'm going to go ahead and stitch step 5, which is just going to go ahead and tack these 2 pieces of fabric together. So I will come back and show you what that looks like. And you can see the line. You take your hoop off, you can see what it looks like on the back. It went ahead and tacked that down along there. Now we're going to do basically the exact same thing 4 times. We did it here, we're going to do it here, we're going to do it here, and we're going to do it here. But I'm going to walk you through it. I'll try to do it kind of fast so it doesn't make the video long. So the next step is step 6. It's going to go ahead and do that placement line like it did over here. So I'm going to run that. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, there's the placement right here. Now this is exact same size as this. So I had already cut 4 pieces because I knew I was using the same fabric. So go ahead and turn your hoop over. If you don't have the same fabric, make sure you measure this distance and that distance and get 2 more pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and flip my hoop over upside down. I'm going to use the same thing. I'm flipping it over, sorry. Remember that you can see through the direction to put your fabric, and this is the top, so you want to place it like this. I want my hearts going the right way. So I'm going to go ahead and place it like this. I'm going to go ahead and tape it. Okay, I'm going to flip my hoop over. I'm going to use the same line. I'm going to make sure my fabric's going the right way. Remember, this is the top. So I'm going to go like this. Make sure I'm past those placement lines. I'm going to go ahead and, this one's a little bigger so I can get more of that B in there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tape it down. I'm going to go to my machine. When I get it on my machine, I'm going to make sure that my fabric didn't move. I'm going to stitch the very next step, which is going to go ahead and tack that 1 line down right there, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, there you go. You can see it. I ran step 7. It just went ahead and did that line, tacking this fabric down to the stabilizer on both sides. So you're going to flip your hoop upside down. You're going to take off this tape. You're going to flip it down. Make sure you're passing all your placement lines. You can go ahead and tape it back down this way. You're going to flip your hoop. You're going to do the exact same thing right here. Take off your tape. flip it down, go ahead and tape it again. I'm going to go to the machine and I'm going to run step 8, which is going to do this one line like this right here, tacking the two fabrics together. So I'll come right back and show you what that looks like. You can see that it went ahead and tacked it down. Both sides are down and great. The underneath is great. Now I'm going to go back to the machine. I'm going to run the next step, and it's going to go ahead and do the placement line so you can see your fabric this direction. So I'm going to go ahead and go run that. I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, it went ahead and did that line right here. You can see it goes straight across your fabric. It went right here. So now you're going to be doing the same thing, but you're going to be doing the placement for this piece right here. So this shape is a little bit different than the other two, the sides. So you just go ahead and measure it. You put your ruler there. You can see that you need probably like 1.5, a little less maybe if you want to. It depends on, I kind of go a little bigger on my fabric because I don't want to get stuck not having enough. So anyways, you can measure for yourself. I'm just showing you how to measure, and then you're going to want to measure this direction as well. And this one's a little bit bigger than 6.5. So anyways, I just kind of gauge it. Like I take a strip and mine's way bigger, but I also want to place these bumblebees in the center. So I kind of had to cut more so I could get some on either side to place it correctly. So it depends on your fabric, but you basically need 2 strips are up here, one the top, one the liner, one the top, one the liner. They can be different. You don't have to do them the same. I'm doing mine the same. So we have our placement stitch right here. So go ahead and flip your hoop over. You can still see your line right here. Now you still need to go off of, this is the top right here. I can see that I wrote top up here. It kind of helps you if you write that so you know which side's the top, because you want your stuff running the right direction. So I'm going to go ahead and place this so you ultimately want it like that, so the bees are facing the right direction. So you want to basically go like this right here. Wait, hold on, I'm trying to figure it out. Nope, like this, right there. All right, so you're gonna go like this. So when it does the line right here, my bumblebees will flip up and you'll be able to see the bumblebees the right direction. So you kind of have to watch that when you're doing your directional fabric. So I'm gonna just look and make sure I have them placed kind of where I want them. I want mainly the bees to go up. So I'm gonna put their little stingers kind of close to the edge right here. Stinger. Now if you don't use something, I'm trying to get like an exact thing inside there a little bit anyways. In the bottom, the liner doesn't have to be as exact because you're not gonna see it all the way. But the front, I'm gonna make sure I'm in the right place. Now this fabric's extra long because I just cut it going with the fabric. You could cut it shorter. I'm not caring that much. So it's going to go ahead and stitch the line like right about here. And then when I flip it, I should be able to see my bees facing up towards the top. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over, and I'm going to do the exact same thing over here. So I'm going to take another one of my strips. Now I want the bees to be like that. So in order for them to be like that, I need to go like this. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get this lined up real quick. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get my stingers kind of lined up right here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and tape it down. I could just hold it in the machine too, since it's going to be on, but you can kind of tape it and then you can kind of see if it's going to be about where you want it. Mine's going to be kind of like that. So you're going to kind of see them like that. Okay, so it is facing the right way. So I'm going to go over to the machine and I'm going to go ahead and do my next tack down, which is going to do the line directly over where your placement is right here. This placement line is going to go over. It's going to tack this top fabric to the stabilizer with the bottom the liner. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. I will come show you what it looks like. Okay, I am back. It went ahead and stitched that one tack down line, kind of like it did on the other side. So you're going to go ahead and flip your hoop over. You're going to take your tape off like before. You're going to go ahead, I'm going to take some of this other tape off that doesn't matter too, because it'll be harder to get it off later. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and flip this down now. Now, if you have lots of excess like I do here because I'm trying to place it, you can cut some of this off. And I actually would, because this little ID gets kind of bulky. I'm going to just take this excess fabric off because mine's longer than it needs to be. Now, I'm not going to cut too close so it doesn't pull out of the stitches, but I'm going to get some of this bulk out of here. Now, I would have placed it a little closer if I didn't have this like specific fabric that I wanted to see the bumblebee a little more. Okay. Okay. So make sure you don't cut too close because you got to be past these lines right here still. So go ahead and fold your fabric over like this. Okay. And then go ahead and tape down. Okay. Oops. Let me get it a little bit tighter so it stays. Okay. So now flip your hoop over. I'm going to do the same thing up here. I'm going to cut some of this excess fabric off. Sorry, I could have did that when I was measuring, but I just cut the length of the fabric that I had. Okay, so you're going to take the tape off. You're going to flip it over like this. If you have too much excess right here, go ahead and cut some of it. I'm going to take all this extra tape off. I'm going to just cut a little bit closer. You're just taking the extra bulk out. Okay. Go ahead and flip it over. Tape it down. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and run the next step on the machine, and it's going to go ahead and do that same line right here, tacking the fabric, this front fabric, to the back fabric so it's all held together like we did over here. And I'll come back and show you what that looks like. Okay, you can see that it went ahead and stitched this line right here. So this is all tacked down and nice. And it went ahead and tacked the back down as well at the same time. So that looks all nice as well. Now we're gonna go ahead and run the placement line right here, which is the next step to show us where to place the fabric down here. So I'm gonna go ahead and run that and I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, it went ahead and ran the placement right along here. You can see the line. We're gonna do the exact same thing that we did up here down here. So I'm gonna flip the hoop over, remembering where the top was in the directional fabric because I'm using the same bee fabric. Okay, so the way that I normally do it is I see how I kind of want like these bees placed. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of place it where it would look like that. And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to get next to this line because that's the line it's going to stitch. And then I'm going to pull it down to where I want it to be. So I'm going to look, I kind of want like their antennas lined up like right there. So that's probably a pretty good place for it. So I'm going to go ahead and tape it down. Okay, so that's ready to go. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side. So I kind of want my bees to look like this. So I'm going to flip it over, lining it up, and then I also want to get like the antennas kind of like right where the line is. So I'm going to pull it up a little bit. Sorry, I'm just going to make, this is the front, so I want to make sure it looks really good, hopefully. Can't tell. I'm trying to make sure I'm kind of straight across too. Okay, I think that's going to have to do. I'm going to go ahead and tape it down like that. Now I'm going to go back to the machine. I'm going to run the next step, which is going to go ahead and run that line, tacking this fabric with your liner. So when you put this back on your machine, make sure your fabric's not moving and falling. Look underneath your hoop once you get it on. And then I will come back and show you what it looks like with the tack down line. Okay, it went ahead and did the line right there. You can see that it's tacked down both places. So flip your hoop upside down, take off your tape. Okay, flip it down. take off some of this other tape so it doesn't get stuck in there. You can take off your other excess tape. Once you get all these layers going, your tape's going to get stuck in there. Okay, so you can cut off excess. You probably wouldn't have all this excess if you weren't doing like specific fabric. I think I said that, but maybe I shouldn't have done this fabric for the tutorial, but it's cute. I guess it does show you how to get your design in the right spot. We'll see how good I did that. Okay, so place it down. Go ahead and tape it. I like to tape this center piece so it stays tight. Okay, flip your, this is popping up. I don't want it to catch anything. Flip it over. Do the exact same thing over here. I'm going to cut this excess off right away. I'm going to take my tape off. Okay, I'm going to cut my excess off. You wouldn't see this excess, it just makes it bulky. Okay, I'm gonna fold it over and then go ahead and tape it down. Now the next step's gonna do the line like this down here, just holding it together. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and run that. And I'll come right back and show you. Okay guys, you can see that we are done with the front of this. It went ahead and did all 4 sides. They're all down. Our underneath is all down fine. So go ahead and put your hoop back on your machine. Now the next step is going to run these decorative corners around the clear part. So I'm going to go ahead and run that, step 15. And I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, here's that decorative stitching right here. Mine is kind of hard to see, just as these little corners right here. Now, it doesn't stitch this line right here, but the next step's gonna stitch around the same square, so it's not supposed to, so that's fine. So go ahead and flip your hoop over. We're gonna take this little piece of stabilizer out right now because this is the easiest spot to take it out. So go ahead and take something that you can just kind of get a little hole. Make sure to not push too hard because you'll leave indentions in your clear vinyl right here. So just get something where you can scrape it along the edge to pull up the stabilizer, okay? So once you have a hole, you can cut a little bit, and then I just go ahead and I will start tearing. I'm going to go to that side, and then it just comes off with the side. But you're going to want to get all of this out the best you can. Okay. It probably comes out best in big pieces, so if you have like a great method, go for that. You're going to want all of it out though, because you're going to see it through the front if you don't. So you're probably going to need tweezers. I just go ahead, you can see, I always double check on the front right here to see what I can still see. So I can see like that corner, and I can see some down here. So you're going to want to go ahead and get it out. And I'm going to use tweezers just to get this last little bit out of there, and then I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, this is what it looks like. We went ahead and took all that tearaway out. It's the front, there's the underneath of the hoop. Now we're going to be making the little pocket. There's a little pocket that's going to hold this little pocket. It's going to hold the card up against the vinyl. So the way that we make that is you're going to want to get your ruler and you're going to measure the length of the bag right here. So you're just gonna, that's gonna go on 0. It's gonna go all the way over to this far line. It's like 6.5. I would do a little bit bigger myself. And then you're gonna measure basically from this right here, this little stitch, not the top of the bag, there's a stitch line right here. You're going to measure from there to the bottom of the bag, which is like, do like 3.5 or a little bigger. Okay, so the way that I measure this is I just get a big enough piece of fabric. I'm kind of lazy. I just make sure that I cut the fabric big enough to meet either side of these stitch lines right here, which this is. And then I put it right up next to this line because that's where we're going to start. And then I make sure I get past these stitch lines down here. Now this, we're making a pocket, so we need a clean edge. So this just so happens to be folded already, so you need double. So I just did this, the way this fabric was folded. So my fabric is about, I can tell you, mine's going to be bigger than you need. So if you want to be more precise than me, then measure it exactly. But I will tell you what mine ended up being because you need to double it. Mine ended up being like right at 9 inches by right a little bigger than 7 inches, so 9 by 7. And then so what I do is I go ahead and fold it so I can get a clean edge right here. I iron it, and then I'm using a piece of lightweight interfacing to make this a little thicker because this is going to be the pocket holding it up. I was just trying to make it a little thicker, so this was what I used right here. It's the Pellin lightweight interfacing. You could use thicker if you want, or if you wanted a little thicker and this is what interfacing you have, you could do it across the whole top and then it would be doubled when you fold. I only did it along the bottom right here. So the way that you do interfacing, if you haven't done it before, there is a smooth side and then there's a side that feels like there's little, it's like little glue things or whatever. You're going to take the rough side and place it on the wrong, that's the right side of your fabric, on the wrong side of your fabric. I just did it on the bottom half. You're going to place it, a big enough piece, this isn't big enough, and then you're going to iron it, and the iron adheres it to the fabric, and then you're good to go. I already have mine on here. You can see I have it right there. Okay, so it's ironed. So when you have a piece this big, you have it folded in half, you have your clean edge right here. It's big enough to go over all of your placement lines that I told you about. Then you're going to go ahead and flip your hoop over. Now, it's important to know what side to put this pocket on. I have made this once and I put the pocket upside down and I don't have to throw the bag away, but the pocket doesn't work. So make sure you're paying attention to where we wrote top up here. See how we wrote top on the top? You want this to go towards the top. If you were like just putting it anywhere, it has the same exact things on either side. If you do it right here, then your pocket's going to be on the inside bottom of your bag, which is what I did in a previous one. So make sure you have your top up here. Now make sure you're on the underneath of your hoop. This is the front, this is the underneath. You're going to go ahead and place this clean edge right next to the stitch line right here. You're not going to go over that stitch line. You need to be placed right below it so the pocket can be open. Okay, and make sure you get past your stitch lines on either side, your placement ones over here. So I'm going to get it, I'm going to go this way. Okay, I can get past both sides. Get it where you want and then tape it. Okay, so you're all taped up. Now we're going to go ahead and bring this back over to the machine, and it's going to go ahead and run this square right here, tacking this to your bag. It's also going to do a few other stitches, and I'll show you what those are for later. But just go ahead and put this on to your machine and run the next step, and I'll show you what it does. Okay, this is what the top of your hoop looks like. This is what the underneath of your hoop looks like. Your little openings right there. Okay, now you can take this off of your hoop. You're completely done with this hooping. tape off. You can take the stabilizer off, all the extra tape off. And then once you get all the stabilizer and all the extra tape off, you can set this aside and then go ahead and do one piece of tearaway on your 5x7 hoop, and I will meet you back at the machine to start the second hooping. Okay guys, I have my 5x7 with one sheet of tearaway on my machine. I have the second file loaded right here. We're gonna go ahead and stitch the first step, which is to do the placement onto the stabilizer. So I'm gonna stitch that and I'll show you what it looks like. Those placement lines. Now the first lines we're gonna pay attention to is this line right here. This is where you're placing your zipper. So I'm gonna take this 9-inch zipper, and you need to decide which way you want the pull. I'm gonna have the pull this way, the zipper pull. If you want it to open the other way, you turn it like that. But you go ahead and get it on here. Make sure the zipper pull is past the placement lines and that your foot can get by it, and make sure that this is past these placement lines. That's how you know you have a big enough zipper. You could put a 14-inch zipper on here. You end up cutting the ends off, so it doesn't matter. The zipper just has to be bigger than your placement lines. Okay, so you're going to take this edge of your zipper and you're going to put it right next to the zipper placement line, right there, all the way across, right next to it, where you barely see it, like right there. You see it, but you're right next to it. Okay, so you can tape it or you can hold it. The next step's going to do a line right here and a line up here, tacking your zipper down. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch that. I'll come back and show you. Okay guys, this is what it looks like here. Your zipper is tacked down. We're going to use this piece now. So I'm going to do a couple little things. I'm going to draw on here so you can kind of see. There's a stitch line right here that I'm drawing on. I'm just drawing on it so you can see it a little better. There are stitches there, so you'll see the stitches and that's what you'll go by. Now the other thing is we're gonna be using the same stitch lines here those extra stitch lines that it drew, but we're gonna be looking at it from the back side. So I'm gonna draw on this side too so you can see it a little better. These are stitches. Okay, all I did was trace the stitches that are back there. You'll see them on your bag. I just drew some markers so you could see it a little better. Okay, so lining this piece up is probably going to be the hardest part of your bag. So hopefully I can explain it well. So ultimately your bag is going to come down like, I'm going to fold it. It's going to come down like this on the bottom half of under your zipper teeth. So the way we're going to line this up is like the flipper style. You're going to take the right side of your bag, the part where the clear vinyl is, you're going to flip it over. You're going to want it this direction. Now this line right here on this piece is going to line up with this line right here on the stabilizer. So what you're going to do is you're going to line this up so it's a continuous line. That's going to keep you equal distance on either side so your bag is in the right position this way. Now this line that's going across right here, you're going to want that lined up with the bottom of your zipper right here, this black, where the black ends or whatever color your zipper is. You're going to want to line this line up with that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quickly. This is going to keep your bag straight, okay, and where it needs to go. Now this piece right here that goes up and over this little line lines up with your stitch line right here. That's where it's going to stitch. So it's going to stitch across here, and then it's going to do one line, and then that's going to tack it down to your stabilizer, and then once that line's there, we can pull this down. So all this other stuff is just getting it lined up correctly. So line this line up with here, line this line up right here with the bottom of your zipper right there. There's little stitch lines. You just line the stitch lines up right there. Okay, then you can tape it and go to your machine and run the one line right here, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay guys, this is what it looks like. You can see that it stitched a line right here all the way across. If you pull this down, you can see that that's what it's going to look like right there. So that's awesome. And what we need to do now is we need to cut this excess fabric. So I'm gonna, this fabric helped you line everything up. So I'm gonna put this here. Now, the thing to watch on here, go ahead and lift your fabric up all the way to that stitch line. The key is to lift this up first so you can see your zipper. Do not cut your zipper when you're cutting this fabric. If you just had it down, you started cutting, you'll end up cutting your zipper and then it will be frayed and then you will see that in your bag. So don't do that. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. Don't cut your stitch line up here, and just get this excess off right above the zipper. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start cutting. Make sure I almost got my zipper already. You can go back and cut more. I'm just gonna get it off so I can see. It's hard to see both sides. My zipper keeps getting in here. It's probably easier to use applique scissors. I'm gonna use applique scissors because they're curved. My applique scissors just aren't very sharp right now. I need some new ones. Yeah, it is easier to use this curved one. But then they don't want to cut. Okay, so you can see, you just want to get it cut where you can see your zipper all the way across without cutting your zipper. That's the key. I'm gonna get a little bit more of this over here. I don't know if it makes a difference, but that's out of the way. You just want to make sure it's out of the way. If you don't get it above your zipper, then you will see the frayed edges in your bag. Okay. Okay, I think it is good. So there we are. We got that done. Now we are going to do, the next step's going to do a top stitch. So you're going to pull this down. Now I'm just going to hold it. There's not really great places to tape at this stage. You could tape over here or whatever here, but you're still going to want it held kind of tight down. So it's going to stitch a line across here doing the top stitching. So I'm going to go over to the machine and I'm going to run that, and then I will show you the next step. Okay guys, that's what the top stitching looks like right here. All the way, it went all the way across. Now the next step's gonna finish the holding the bag down. It's gonna go down, around, and up right there. It separated those two steps so you could see if it looks like it's lined up right. If it wasn't lined up right, you could take this out right here and set it up again. But mine looks fine, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it back on the machine. And I'm going to go ahead and run the next step, which is step 5. And it's going to do that right there. Okay, I will come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, guys, this is what it looks like. There's our bag so far. Now, it is time to put the back of your bag on. So I'm going to, this back right here. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to measure for that. You're going to need 2 pieces of fabric. You're going to need the back and you're going to need the liner. And they're going to be the same size, so you'll really only have to measure once. So where you're going to want to measure, there's lots of lines on here. So the way you're going to want to measure is above this line right here. So up here, down to this line right here. This is the bottom of your bag right there. You're going to want it a little bit longer, but right there. And then you're going to want to measure to this stitch line right here, not the one that's out here. This is going to get cut off right here. This is the edge of your bag over to this one right here. Okay, so you just take a ruler and measure both distances. I always just take a piece, like I would take, this is like a big piece of fabric. Make sure you have your fabric the right way. Like not that one, this one. I think I already cut it, but I always just make sure that I can make it past all these lines. I take extra little fabric and see if I can. If it does, I use it. So I already did it. I went ahead and cut. This goes all the way over all my stitch lines. It's a little bigger, so I don't have to like fudge things and make sure I don't miss lines. So there's that. This is going to be the back of our fabric. So I have that ready, and then I just go ahead and line it up with the liner fabric. I'm using the same liner fabric as our pocket because that's what you will see as the front liner. So I want them to be the same. So I'm using the same fabric for that. So I just have 2 pieces of fabric that are big enough that goes over our bag stitch lines, okay? So whenever you put the back of your bag on, you need to open your zipper. So let's open our zipper. You want to open it far enough over that you have a big enough thing to turn your bag, because you're going to be turning your bag through this hole. But you don't want to go past these stitch lines right here. The bag's going to stitch around this corner multiple times, so you need to get your foot of your machine needs to be able to pass this without hitting your zipper pull. So give yourself enough room for that to happen, but also big enough to be able to flip your bag through it, okay? So that's the key. Now, if you don't want to add anything to your bag, I'm just going to get the zipper together a little bit more. If you don't want to add anything to your bag, then you would just put your fabric over all your placement lines and you'd go stitch the next step, which is going to enclose this whole thing. I'm going to add a couple things like this bag right here. I made another one. I'm actually going to do this little fold over elastic and this little lobster clasp, and then I'm also going to add this little cute thing right here. It's just fold over elastic. It just adds a little detail to it. So I'm going to add those 2 things, and I'm going to show you how you do that right now. Okay, so I have fold over elastic. It's just pretty stretchy elastic, and it comes in rolls, or they just send it to you depending on where you're getting it. And show you this one. Mine came in, I just store it on a roll right here, and I just put a rubber band around it. Okay, so you go ahead and put it around your clasp. Everything that you want to keep goes on the inside of your bag. So you place it along the tack down that's going to happen. It's going to go around these lines. You're going to place it right here. Make sure you know which one I'm talking about. Not this outer one. This other one's going to get cut off. This one right here. This is the line that's the edge of your bag. Okay. Now you can place it anywhere along the edge of your bag. I'm actually going to place it below this fabric right here. So this color fabric right here, this top, this is really thick already. And when I ran, just as a tip, when I ran this first bag right here, this was just a test bag, so I knew how it got put together. I did put it up here and I did get it to run, but this is really thick. You have multiple layers of this fabric, and you have this fabric, and then 2 layers of this fold over elastic. It was a lot, and my machine did hit it, and I ended up having to pull out some stitches and then rerun it and try to make it flatter to get it by that spot. So I'm actually going to put it lower down here, and I ran a second bag so you can see that it looks cute down there too, and it ran a better on this one because it wasn't so many layers. You can I got it to work in either place. It just messed up on that first one because it was too many layers. So do it at your own risk. So I'm going to go ahead and place this down here. Now, depending on where you place it, over this way more or this way more, will determine how long this is. You want to place it far enough in that the foot of your machine can get by this line without hitting your metal. So it can't be like straight up right next to this because your foot will hit it. So it needs to be have a little bit of length to it. So I'm just going to place it right like that. Then I'm going to tape that down. Okay, I'm going to take this other little thing, fold over elastic, and we don't need this much because I'm just going to do a cute little short thing. So I'm going to cut some off. Okay, it's just little. I'm going to put the hoop, the little loop on the inside. I'm going to place that right there. tape on it. Okay, so it stays. So I am ready to go. That's all I'm going to add to this bag. So I'm going to take the right side of my fabric, make sure my hearts are going the right way. If you have directional fabric, make sure it's going the right direction. I'm going to go ahead and place it over all of my placement stitches right here. I have lots of extra, so I don't have to like really make it precise. Now I'm going to go over to my machine and I'm going to stitch the next step, which is going to enclose this bag. It's going to stitch all the way around several times. So I'll come back and show you what this looks like. Okay guys, this is what it looks like. It went ahead and stitched all the way around the bag. Now you're going to go ahead and flip your hoop over, and now you're going to do the liner. So you need to take, we already cut the liner because it was the same size as the other one. You're going to take the right side of your fabric and you're going to place it face down. Make sure you're over all your stitch lines. I always leave excess fabric down here so you can close the bag. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put it on here. Tape it. And then go to your machine and run the very last stitch step, which is going to go ahead. It's going to stitch around the bag, but it's going to leave an opening down here. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch that. I'll come back and show you what's next. Okay guys, here it is. There's the front of your hoop. Here's the underneath of your hoop. You can see that it didn't stitch down here. So we're going to go ahead and take this off because we are done stitching. We're going to take all the stabilizer off. Get all your excess tape off. Some more stabilizer. I feel tape. Okay. I'll probably find some more as I go. Okay, so you can see there's stitch lines right here. This is where I start. When I watch, I cut in an angle up to the stitches without cutting the stitches. Then I turn. You're just cutting all the excess of your bag off. So your extra zipper, all of your extra stuff's coming off. So I'm getting all of it. You don't have to be so close that you end up risking cutting your stitches, so be careful. Okay, then once you get to that edge, you go ahead and turn out the other direction. It's all garbage. I'm going to cut across here. You don't need quite this much. Okay, now you only need the two pieces that make up your liners on your inside, so these two. Now you can cut the rest. Make sure you're cutting, I put these two pieces up and then I cut. Make sure you're cutting straight. If you cut at an angle, you're going to end up cutting the stitches down here. So I cut straight across. Okay. Okay, now you are ready to turn your bag. I'll pull this out. So just go ahead and flip. It has a little bit of bulk to it because you have that vinyl in here. The clear vinyl makes it a little bulkier. Okay. Now you want to get your bag kind of flat so we can close the hole, but it doesn't have to be perfect because you are going to turn the bag again through your zipper. I'm just gonna try to get the bottom's a little more important than the top because that's where we're gonna be closing it. I'm just using this little, this is a turning system tool. You could use a chopstick or you could use like the end of an eraser or something. It helps you get your corners out, but be kind of gentle because this is just like woven fabric. You could go right through it. See this side a little more. Okay, once your corners are out a little better, then you're going to just kind of push it flat. We're going to end up sandwiching this bottom, but we're going to take off the stabilizer first. Okay, so just get an edge, and you want to pull all of this off. There's some placement stitches in here you just tear off. Now I'm going to clean this part up here off camera because it takes a little bit of time. I will show you a couple tips because this is the third one I've made now. I use like something like this, just little pointy thing. The thing is that makes this hard is there's stitches close together here, right here, this one right here between these two. It's hard to get the stabilizer off between those two. So I just get like an edge and I try to get underneath the stabilizer and just pull it all up all the way along. And then it tears out a little easier. And then I use a tweezers as well. I just pull it out with the tweezers. Once I have it up on one side, I can pull it with the tweezers and it comes off. So I'm going to do it off camera because it takes a little bit of time, but go ahead and clear all of the stabilizer off. Get it all clean. Okay guys, I got it all cleaned up, all the stabilizers removed, and the zipper's open. We are going to go ahead and close this bottom now. So I'm going to go ahead, and the reason I leave this excess fabric is so you can kind of sandwich your fabric together and make a closure. Get that in. Okay. Now I kind of go off of these stitch lines right here. I try to cover those up. It's how I sandwich it. So I fold it. I get the other fabric. Let me get this stitch line out. Okay. Okay, then I take these little wonder clips and I just clip them together to keep it in place so it's easier to do. Sorry, this one's taking a little bit longer to line up. Okay, so it's all lined up. So then there's a few ways to close your openings on bags. You can go ahead and do a ladder stitch if you like to sew with your hand, like just ladder stitch, or you can use hem tape. Hem tape, you go ahead and put it in, and then it requires heat to go ahead and seal it together. Or there's also another hem tape that is just sticky that I believe Jen, the designer from Parker on the Porch, she uses. And then I use glue. This is Fabric Tech glue. It's just clear glue. This is just what I use. It's just easy, it's quick, it's cheap. So I use this. Okay, so you just take one of your clips off. I have to get the glue to come down. Okay, so then you just go ahead and apply some glue. I apply it like right at the top area, and then I sandwich it together. If there's any excess, I just use my finger to wipe it off. This glue is really good because it's not like clumpy. It's clear, so you don't see it anywhere, and it dries really fast. It keeps going back up. There we go. So you just keep going along the edge. Okay, that's how you do it. You just get all the way over. I'm gonna let it sit for 3 to 5 minutes, then I'll come back and show you how we finish our bag. Okay guys, it is dry. We are gonna take these clips off and I will show you. Oops. Okay, here's the bottom, it's straight. It's not clumpy. Okay, so now we are gonna turn through the zipper. This one will probably be an easier turn than the other one was. You want to make sure you get your corners really good because this is the last time we're turning. It'll make your bag look good. Okay, just a little turning system. Gets the corners a lot better than I can do it with my fingers. That fabric folded over. Okay, just kind of flatten it out. Okay guys, here is our cute little ID photo holder. So you can see it has the little doodad down here, and then here's your clip that it can hook onto things. Here's the back. Here's the front without anything in it. This is what it looks like. You open the zipper. Here's your liner. You can see that looks great. And then here's the little folded thing, the little pocket. So you could take your photo ID, or this is a gift card. This would be a cute little thing to give to somebody and give them a gift card in the pocket window. So you just go ahead and place it between the pocket opening and the ID. Okay. And there you go. You can zipper it up. Super cute, super fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you need the link for this, go ahead under the video. There's a thing that says show more. If you click on that, it has lots of generic links for all the different materials that I use. And then it will have the design link. So you just click on the link. It will bring you to this design at Parker on the Porch, and you can get it there. It has a lot of information there as well. If you want to be notified when new videos come out, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you can get notified of the videos. Please like the video. That'd be great if you liked it and it helped you. And I was going to show you this fabric too. I'm going to start showing the fabric that I used. So for this zipper bag, I used this stack of fabric. I didn't use all of these, but all the fabric in my bag is from here. I used these 3 right here. It comes with these additional ones right here. Now I got this. This is a fabric bundle. It says Emma N. Mila Stacks. And then if you turn over, it says bundle. I'm gonna bring it up there. It's probably reading backwards, sorry. Bundle M Beautiful. So B-U-N-D-L-E bundle, and then space E-M for M, and then beautiful is B-E-Y-O-U-I or T-I-F-U-L. I found this at my Walmart recently. Not my Walmart, actually. It was a little further from my house, and they had it. My Walmart doesn't have it. But I cannot find this online anywhere, and I know a few of you have looked for it online as well and could not find it. Here's the additional information. Even with this information, I couldn't find it online. So if you can find it, that would be great to share it with others. I couldn't find it, but it is in my store, and it's in the store right now because I just bought 2 more of these today. So it's there. Hopefully some of your guys' other stores have it, but this is what it was. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video.